All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another Walking Dead video for today, leading up to the ninth season's return in October for the Walking Dead television series. We'll do a Q&A, but first in this, we're going to give our thoughts on how the Walking Dead became so popular in the first place. And spoiler warning as per usual if you are not cut up for the Walking Dead television series, which is up to the end of Season 8. So I don't have any Fear the Walking Dead videos for you guys today, but I should have one probably tomorrow or the next day leading up to Episode 5, Season 4. And been enjoying, discussing Fear and doing all that with you guys as of late. So we're going to continue to do so. As far as The Walking Dead goes, though, in a lot of the Walking Dead videos that I've been doing, I do have lots more coming for you guys that I want to do, of course, before Season 9 eventually comes out, like death predictions and things like that. So we will get to that. And I'm going to continue doing the Q&As as per usual, but also, like I reviewed The Rain this week, which is a new Netflix series, I'm going to be doing more different stuff in the future because, of course, The Walking Dead original television series is not quite as popular as it once was. I mean, obviously, when the show comes back, we'll do the videos for that and that kind of deal, but I'm going to try to this year especially, as I kind of always do, but, Walking Dead is kind of the main thing for the channel that we focus on, because it is my favorite show, and I know it's a lot of your guys' favorite series as well, too. So it's still kind of like the top thing that will be the concentration for this YouTube channel. But, of course, I do want to kind of spread out as well, too, because the show is not as popular as it once was, and it may never be again. But I thought it would be a good idea, after reading this question from Dr. Death here, who kind of brought up as a topic to discuss, and you guys can certainly leave a comment below on what you think about this one. How did The Walking Dead become so popular to begin with? So obviously, it was the biggest TV series on cable, drama-type series on cable, and that age demographic that's very desirable for networks to have. Your young adult, like 18, young adult type of audience there. It was a huge hit, and it still is. It's not like the show is over. They're making Season 9. We're going to definitely see Season 9, and I think they'll be on for at least a few more years for Walking Dead to get to 10, maybe 11, 12, and then we'll have to see past that how much longer the series will actually last. But we should celebrate the fact that it even has got to past 100 episodes and into a ninth season, because that's just a lot to do, and most TV series never get there. Over the years I've reviewed so many shows, and they have not all lasted really that long. Ash vs. Evil Dead, for example, recently being canceled and things like that. So a lot of shows don't last quite as long as The Walking Dead has. But how did it become such a success to begin with? How did it become so popular to begin with? And write your opinions below in the comments so you can say what drew you into The Walking Dead originally, or what was it about the series originally that you think made it become such a success and become the biggest series on cable. So the question from Dr. Death was, "Hey Trev, awesome job. Thank you for the Walking Dead summertime fix. This has to do with people complaining about the ratings. Ugh. What are your thoughts on the idea that people just watch the show because it was trendy? What I see as an OG fan of the comics, we got a Walking Dead TV show," and quote, he puts in brackets here, "How excited were you?" To around the end of Season 2, and I watched all these people who were like a zombie show. Really, they all started watching at some point because it was popular and it grew to this beast. Now people dropped off a bit, found something new, and only us diehards are left. Diehard fans are left. Judging by the ratings, there are still millions of fans, so still millions of us. And yes, there are, the series is still really good. It's still one of the top shows around, but it, peaked around Season 5 there with, a lot of episodes being around like 15 million or so U.S. viewers per episode. And it may never reach that again. Now it's, getting roughly, half of that or a little bit more than half, depending on which episodes you want to look at and how you want to look at that. So, is what it is. So, I mean, when you look at kind of the way things went for the series and how things went in 2010, so it started off pretty good. It started off like around 5 million viewers for the first 6 episodes or so. And then Season 2, and it just built and built and built and built. So it was pretty big to start from the comics, 5 million or so U.S. viewers there to start in the first season. And the first season was so good that basically everybody came back and more. So it added on people, right? which means that really the series was so well done in the first few seasons that you're adding on a lot more of an audience. You're building a bigger and bigger audience as you go through. And surprisingly, the biggest boost per season, I would have to say, actually probably goes from, well, season 2 to 3 is a big one too. The first one like around 5, the second season around like 6 or 7, and then the third season goes to around 10, which is what we've kind of seen in the last couple years, sort of close to that. Season 7, for example, was around that from what we've kind of been seeing lately. So then season 3 goes into the 10s, and then season 4, boom, you get a pretty big boom period in season 4 where it starts to really stretch those and go closer to your 15 million US viewer range, with season 5 peaking out on the average ratings, and then season 6 strong, 7 starting to kind of starts off strong and then starts to come down pretty quickly, and season 8 kind of going down even a little bit more from that. So in terms of popularity, season 5 definitely being the most popular series of the show that it's had, and one of the most popular seasons of any series ever for certain, no question about that for this type of show. So really, seasons 2, seasons 3, season 4, it got it to the season 5 level, but I want to say if there's any season I'm looking at here that really got it there, season 3 and 4, surprisingly, 2 you can't discount as well either, but I think season 3, namely, was really a boost year, and then you go into season 4 and you've just got these huge ratings, 16 million, this kind of deal. So really big and popular after season 3, going to season 4, and season 5 just growing from there, and then kind of starting to taper off and being consistent and then dropping off. So that's kind of what it would look like if you plot it, is it grew up to season 5, and then it started to kind of come down after that slowly, and then kind of quickly after season 7 premiere. So that's kind of what it looked like in terms of popularity for the series and how it really got there. I mean, I think the comics brought on a certain amount of people because the comic book series is incredible. It's really, really good. So that's why the first season, did pretty good by itself. And then the second season, surprisingly, they were able to do a lot with a little. They didn't have that much in terms of budget and that much in terms of stuff they were able to work with. But because you had John Bernthal as Shane, you had Andrew Lincoln, and you had some really great, I want to say the characters, really. The concept and the original premise is great. Obviously, that got people into it. But the way they were able to get people to emotionally care for these characters and get invested in the characters might be kind of the one thing I want to say that for this type of series really grew it. Season 3, a lot of fun and kind of that action-oriented type of pacing and everything. And then season 4 as well, too, which is, at that point, everybody kind of jumping on board. So you're right, Dr. Death, that originally you started kind of with that comic book fan base that was, really a third of what the fan base became. The fan base grew from 5 to like around 15 by season 5. So 2/3 of that audience that came in afterwards had not read the comics or had not really gotten into it. So word of mouth, the television series was so good in the first, 3 to 4 seasons that it just spread. People started telling each other about it. And I think a lot of that has to do with a lot of the character deaths and them doing things that were very unpredictable, like the season 3 finale, for example, with Merle and with the governor and all that stuff. People coming back for season 4 to find out what happens. And it just spread like crazy to where people would be telling each other about who was killed off recently, water cooler type of talk, and just kind of becoming more and more popular as time went on to season 5 when it was at its peak, and then kind of consistent, but then it's starting to kind of dwindle down once people, I think, kind of figured out what the game was. Whereas in season 8, when you have a huge character death, the biggest of the series, spoiler warning, the death of Carl at the mid-season finale range, really, when you look at the ratings after that, it didn't really have an effect. So I think what you're seeing that, as time is going on and going forward, people kind of figured out what The Walking Dead was. They had been, shocked by it and awed by it and really invested in it enough that they were telling others about it. And eventually, kind of a lot of the casual fans, a lot of people, really got a sense of what the series was about. And eventually that, fizzled out. Now, people can add into that. A lot of people don't like season 7 and 8. They can say, oh, season 7 and 8 just sucks, so that's why. So that has a lot to do with it. So, sure, you can look at it that way if you want to as well, too. But if I'm looking at it as like a macro trend type of thing, as the audience kind of came in and then as they left, that's kind of what I would say did it, was that word of mouth spread like crazy around 2, 3, 4, and then into 5. And then after that, people figured out the game, and a lot of the kind of people that casually watched it, loved the show, whatever, checked it out, and then eventually kind of got tired of it, and you started to see it kind of dwindle off, even to the point where when they kill a huge character like Carl, the water cooler talk is not effective anymore because, that kind of shock value of killing off a character like that, people have figured out that that's the formula, that's the system, and even that is not enough to kind of shock them enough to get them back invested in the show or must-see back into the show on first viewing anyway. So to sum it up, at least my opinion, and you guys are certainly entitled to yours, and I want to see that, so write it in the comments below on how the series became so popular to begin with. I'd say it was really a great adaptation of the comics. They never went as dark as the comics was. They never went as edgy. You never saw Rick get his hand cut off. You never saw, some of those really brutal torture scenes with the governor and Michonne and other stuff that happened in the comic series. They were never able to adapt it quite as dark as the comic version, but they pushed it a little bit here and there. The season 7 premiere is a good example of that, of how far they were able to push it before they started getting some blowback for it being too brutal and that kind of deal. But, great characters, a new type of formula, something people had never seen before. The whole character death kind of idea, which was really, I want to say, it's been used in series before. It's not like it's a brand new kind of concept, but to have it in The Walking Dead, and then Game of Thrones also uses it very well too. The shock, the swerve, and, a lot of the things they did here in the zombie apocalypse with The Walking Dead or in Game of Thrones, it really was effective. It really worked to get people on board, to get people to care for the characters, and to get people glued and tuning in, right? And then eventually, kind of with Walking Dead, this has happened, and Game of Thrones will be ending soon. So really, we should just be happy the show is even still on, and we still have something to talk about for the series, because most series don't even get there to begin with. So those are kind of my thoughts. Great characters, awesome execution of the first 5 seasons, really, and building up to that point. People figuring out the formula, and a couple years later, several years later, starting to kind of figure out that, okay, we know the game, whatever. It's going to be really hard for them. They'll probably never get back to that same level they were at, because it's once you do something once, you can't really do it again. And I think the Carl death is a perfect example of that. Is once you kill Carl off, or once you do some of those huge character deaths like Beth and some of the others that we saw before, people kind of get used to that, and it doesn't have the same effect later on as it did earlier. If you want to have a zombie herd go through, it won't have the same effect as it did in the season 2 premiere, or season 6 when we see this huge mega herd. It could still be very exciting and get people to kind of tune in somewhat, but it will never be as effective as it was the first time. And it's going to be really difficult for them to kind of come up with new things all the time that's really going to shock and really going to get that audience, because that audience has been there for so long. They've been trained and they know what to kind of expect, and all these different things you're seeing really are not able to impact them emotionally the same way some of those same events would have earlier on, because they've already been done. And you really can only do something once to get the maximum value. After that, each time it's like you're dividing it, to get the same kind of impact. You got to do more and more to get the same thing. And I think season 8 is a great example of that, with a lot of the action, the zombies, Tobin, for example, and the character deaths and all that, kind of showing that they're not really impacting the audience the same way as they used to, so they got to go over the top and do even more stuff in order to try to do that. And even if it marginally works, that's kind of their effort of the way things go. So I hope that answers your question, Dr. Death. That's how I think The Walking Dead became so popular to begin with. Great series, awesome execution, amazing characters, and genre-defining stuff. Nothing like that had ever been done before. And even in the future, if someone was to come along and do it again, it wouldn't work as well, because again, it's been done now, right? It was something really new. A zombie apocalypse TV series like that had never been done in that way before. Never. So only in the movies, and it worked so well because of that and its execution being so good. Nikosi Chain Simmons says, Trev, grow out a beard for The Walking Dead Season 9 premiere. That would be cool. I would love to, Nikosi, but I actually can't. I can't grow enough facial hair to grow a sweet beard. So I apologize. Must be because I'm English or something, but my genetics, I just can't. I can't do it. I can do like a mustache, but I can't do a full out beard, and it looks horrible anyway. So I'm not gonna do it. I can't do it. I might get like maybe a skin or something to wear. That'd be cool, like Halloween costume, zombie skin or something. So stay tuned for that. I might become a whisperer next year. We'll see. Kyle George says. Alden can't be Dante because Alden is gay. I can see him and Jesus hooking up. So here's the thing, though, dude. Just because he's beta doesn't make him gay, right? He could be very beta. It doesn't make him gay. So they're just saying he could still be Dante, and I think he is. I think he is. Guts the Black Swordsman says Jerry should be a series regular too, and yeah, that's true. He should be. But I don't know if they'll ever kind of dive into the character that much or use him that much. He'll probably always be a supporting character for Ezekiel, I think, until eventually he's killed off, which could be in a few years, or maybe even this year. We'll see. Final Act says, hey, Trev, I think the reason they didn't have any big character deaths during All Out War was because the showrunners are holding off until the Whisperers intro, which I feel is going to be bigger and more traumatic than Negan's introduction. Like, I'm thinking at least 2 A-listers and a good amount of B-listers. What do you think? So, death predictions for sure for you. Final Act, we'll do that pretty soon. I'll start working on that maybe tomorrow even. Yeah, man, that should be a crazy introduction for them. Something to fear, something like that. Should be cool. So, looking forward to that heavily. And maybe you're right, but again, even the comics as well too, right? If you have a certain introduction where you kill one character off, next introduction for villains you got to kill off like a dozen, right? So we'll see what that looks like and if they go the same route in the TV series version. I tend to think they'll probably move that down. I don't think we'll see 12 character deaths of all these very important characters in the series. I don't know if they'll do that. I think they'll kind of milk that a bit or add in more red shirts as part of that. Dr. Smarty Pants says, Trev, will you be reacting to the Walking Dead Season 9 trailer / Fear the Walking Dead Season 4B trailer this year? So, of course, Dr. Smarty Pants, all the usual stuff, do reviews for the trailer after they hit reactions and all that kind of deal. The usual stuff, even though The Walking Dead is not as popular as it once was, I'm still going to try my best to keep doing the same thing with you guys, and I hope you guys appreciate it and you'll still watch somewhat. So we're going to do that until eventually people just don't care at all anymore, which I hope that doesn't happen. I hope people will always enjoy the show until eventually it ends. Jason DeVoe says, Trev, I highly suggest that you watch Ozark, as I believe that you'll like it just as much as you do Breaking Bad. Still waiting for some sort of video regarding The Strain Season 4. Not sure why you haven't mentioned it yet, but I want to hear your thoughts. So that's for Jason D. So, sorry, Jason, I dropped the ball on The Strain. I know it ended there, and I just, Fear the Walking Dead pushed it out, and I was doing all the Fear stuff, and I just never got back to it. Not that I didn't enjoy The Strain, and I should still watch the ending of The Strain, because I haven't seen it. But, it's one of those series like a lot of others that are on different networks like FX or whatever. It's not that many people watch it, so it's hard for me to do videos on it when hardly anybody's into it, right? It's what it is. Anyway, that'll be it for today's video, guys. Let me know what you think about how The Walking Dead became so popular to begin with. And if you like this video, please thumb it up below. You can share, you can favorite. And if you're new and you want to subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it. Please subscribe at the bottom. That's it for this one. See you guys again soon for another video. As always, it's Trev. I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.